to know stands at the beginning of the place for family recreation. For the days of the road, and I stress the road, and employment return, so the village can be working again. For youth need employment, the village are recommending water wells, which will provide a consistent water supply. The people of Pinam are very resourceful and the youth will be welcome any apprenticeship program in the area to help them learn a trade. As crime is now everywhere, and we hope the police are using cameras to have the legal response to make our information. Once again, I look forward to hearing today.
To Trinidad and Tobago to practice as a doctor at the San Fernando General Hospital for 20 years. Dr. Bodo was the chairman of the Southwest Health Authority from October 2010 to August 2015. In that position, he oversaw the state-of-the-art San Fernando Teaching Hospital and the Coopers Children's Hospital, the opening of the new and upgrading existing health centers, and extended hours at the health centers, among many other achievements. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Lakram Bodo.
The vocalist is here.
Get the blast from the air.
Good night, UNC family. Thank you very much for that warm introduction, the very hard-working councillor of the Siparia Borough Corporation. I want to recognize the political leader of the United National Congress, in whose constituency we are tonight, and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Visesa. And of course, my fellow speakers on the platform from the neighboring constituencies, Dr. Rudal Munilal from Oropouche East, Mr. Dave Tanku from Oropouche West. All colleagues in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and the representatives from the local government bodies, NATEX members, including the erstwhile and former Member of Parliament, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, who has journeyed all the way from Port of Spain to be with us here in South tonight. And of course, we have one of the co-chairs, the chairman, hard-working chairman of the PDRC and the mayor of the Siparia Borough Corporation, our thousands of well-wishers and supporters, members of the media, my UNC family, and I say a special greetings to our supporters from Faizabad tonight. So good evening. My brothers and sisters, are you ready for victory in the 2 local government elections on June 17th? And we just heard from a resident of the Queen Anne Mon Diablo electoral district, right here about the needs and aspirations that community will expect. Are you ready for the soon-to-be-called general elections to remove this government and to restore sanity to Trinidad and Tobago by a UNC government? So, my brothers and sisters, sadly, our great nation is in a state of decline. This government seems to have abdicated all of its responsibilities to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. This government has cancelled their social contract with you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, on whose behalf they are spending your money. This government believes that it is okay to not provide resources and necessary services to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My brothers and sisters, tonight I will focus on the health sector and the shortcomings and the challenges in the health sector. But before I go there, I just want to dwell briefly on 2 or 3 pertinent issues in my own constituency of Faizabad. This morning, the constituency of Faizabad woke up to the gruesome discovery of a decomposing body in Ramatali Park, Avocat, possibly that of a missing security guard, and if so, would be a resident of Faizabad. My condolences go to the family, who I know very well, if that is the case. Last week, of course, Faizabad witnessed the senseless killing of a Darsan Trace resident by criminals when he boarded a vehicle. He and someone else boarded a vehicle just to, to go to work, to make an honest day's living, to support his family in this difficult time. And of course, on my way here, and as you prepare a speech, Mayor, you have to update it by the minute, because on my way here, we heard again of the finding of another resident of Faizabad who was found dead in the Mondesi area here. Ladies and gentlemen, of that Darsan Trace incident, a second victim who survived the shooting, but has remained mentally scarred. And when I spoke, with his mother, because I know the mother well, she worked as a nurse at one of the facilities I worked, and she told me, I asked how is the son, she said, he is well, but he's in hiding. He's mentally scarred, but he's hiding. Why? Because he's a witness to a murder. And he knows very well, like many of the citizens of this nation, that if you're a witness to a murder, that you're not going to be protected in any way by the forces that be, by the authorities. So tonight, in addition to the rising crime situation in Faizabad, where you find that the TTPS remains woefully under-resourced under this incompetent Minister of National Security. And again, we can only hope and pray that this crime will soon be under control. I just also want to put the government quickly on notice that there are 2 matters that, if not dealt quickly, will bring hardship, pain, and suffering to hundreds who use these facilities. The first is the impending collapse of a bridge in St. John's Branch Trace, Avocat, that threatens to maroon some 30 residents and affect hundreds of other citizens who use this bridge for agricultural activities. Residents from this area go to bed every night, not sure whether they will be able to leave their homes the next morning in case the bridge collapses overnight. And of course, this matter has been raised numerous times with the Minister of Works and Transport, and I still trust and hope that this matter will be solved and resolved soon. The other issue is that of a landslide at the cremation site on the Mosquito Creek. Now, this is a glaring issue here, as the Mayor is aware, and he has already raised concern. A structure on the compound at the gazebo has already been undermined. But what I'm worried about, ladies and gentlemen, is that this landslide has the potential to undermine the current roadway that leads to the cremation site. And I'm sure many of you here will be familiar with that site where you go, for the final rites of your loved ones. And I want to call upon the Minister of Works and Transport tonight and the Minister of Local Government to do what is necessary and to address these matters urgently. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will now move on to what is happening in the health sector. Recent tragic events at the NICU, that's the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit in the Port of Spain General Hospital, have highlighted how underprepared this government is for dealing with urgent and critical events in our nation's health institutions. You will recall, ladies and gentlemen, that on the morning of Friday, April 12th, about a month ago, the country awoke to the heart-wrenching and tragic news of the deaths of 7 babies within a 4-day period in the NICU at the Port of Spain General Hospital. And of course, this was related to an infectious outbreak as admitted to in a media release by the Northwest Regional Health Authority. Subsequent to this revelation by the NWRHA, several other parents revealed that their infants had died around the same time in the same unit, the same NICU, and they expressed the suspicion that their babies could have died from the same outbreak of infections. This matter is now in the hands of attorneys representing parents of some 21 babies at this time. We'll let the law take its course. But, ladies and gentlemen, before I go further, as a father, as a medical practitioner, and as a member of parliament with shadow responsibilities for health in the opposition, I again, on behalf of the party, our great party, wish to express our deepest condolences to the parents of these infants on their tragic loss. You know, following that, ladies and gentlemen, in the parliament, the Minister of Health announced 2 probes into this matter. This happened a month ago, 2 probes were announced. I understand that the PAHO team would have completed their local investigations about 2 weeks ago. The second investigation was to be conducted by the Ministry of Health, led by the Chief Medical Officer. To date, ladies and gentlemen, the country is not aware of the terms of reference of either of these investigations. So we are not sure what is expected from these committees, and we are not aware of any timelines. So I call upon the Minister of Health to tell the country what are the terms of reference of these 2 investigating committees. I ask the Minister to tell the grieving parents, the other anxious expectant mothers, because there are mothers who expect to deliver their babies at the Northwest, at the Port of Spain Hospital, who will be very anxious to find out if everything is back and well. And my colleague here, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, renowned gynecologist obstetrician, knows what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, many are concerned that this matter will be swept under the proverbial carpet in order to avoid accountability, as is the norm for this government. The citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are worried that the parents will suffer the same fate as the parents of those divers in the Paria incident, the diving incident. So, Minister of Health, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are awaiting the findings and recommendations of these reports. So, before I leave the issue of NICU and move on to some other issues in the health sector, you know, I just want to find out, I want to ask the questions, because, you know, in a NICU, there's something called surveillance, there's something called prevention, and there's something called treatment. You have to have the equipment, you have to have the staff, and you have to have procedures and processes in place to literally spy MP Munilal, to literally spy, but this time you're spying on the bugs that are going to infect, that you know will infect the NICU. And therefore you have to have good surveillance systems. And I want to ask whether it is true that because the boiler has been down at the Port of Spain General Hospital since May of 2023, 1 year, ladies and gentlemen, this boiler has been down. This produces steam for sterilizing equipment and linen and so on. That has been down. And what has happened in the interim? The hospital has had to send its linen and instruments and equipment to other facilities to have it sterilized. What that means is that you increase the risk of what we call cross-contamination. So you can send these things out and bring back infection into your own unit. You know, was it due to the inadequate nursing staff in the NICU? Because we are hearing of, you know, what is called not adequate nurse-to-patient ratio for these small ones. And I also want to ask that, you know, was it because a regular cleaning company with the necessary expertise and experience, you know, was changed recently prior to this incident? I'm only asking, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that perhaps the press may want to ask. Because is it that this change, and now I'm told that the cleaning schedules have been expanded. Instead of 1 week, it's once per month or whatever and so on. I'm not privy to the details of the contract. But is it that this now happened to cut costs? And look what it has cost the mothers of Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will move on. I just want to make the point that NICU beds are a valuable and scarce resource, and they are limited, especially in low-resource countries. But why do I make that point? I make that point because under the People's Partnership Government, arrangements were put in place at a place called the Hoover Hospital to have additional NICU beds. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, when the honorable leader of the opposition, with a well-known history of love and concern for children, raised the matter of the plan for the NICU beds at the Couva Hospital, the Minister of Health was quick on his feet to deny that this was the People's Partnership government plan at the time. He even tried to put his own spin when clear video evidence, my brothers and sisters, I'm sure many of you by now would have seen that video circulating, showing clearly the then Prime Minister touring the Couva Hospital in 2015 with UNICOT officials in 2015, and you're seeing state-of-the-art equipment clearly visible, not only for neonates and infants, MP Munilal, who was responsible for UNICOT at the time, not only for neonates and infants, but of course for many other services. So, but that wasn't enough, Further evidence of equipment and infrastructure emerged from a report from a parliamentary committee side visit to the facility in 2016. Government changed in 2015. In 2016, an oversight committee of the parliament, of which I am a member, visited that facility, and we did a report, and that report was laid in the parliament for all to see. And, ladies and gentlemen, in that report, there's clear evidence of the NICU beds in that report. So I urge you, the public, to go and see for yourself. This is not a UNC report. This is a parliamentary committee report. But even then, the minister, despite all this evidence, went on to try to deny that we didn't have provisions. We didn't make provisions for NICU and other services for women and so on at the hospital. And here I have in my hand a letter dated 22nd July 2019. I can't go into the details of this letter, because of time. But basically, this is a letter from UNICOT to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, citing several things that have to be removed from this Couva Hospital, including incubators, NICU incubators, warmers, infusion pumps, ventilators, most importantly, neonatal ventilators to help support young ones. So UNICOT is asking, almost in shock, in surprise, to the Ministry of Health and the PS and the Minister by extension, are you sure that you want to move this equipment from the Couva Hospital to send it to the NCRHA? But I will leave that there tonight, ladies and gentlemen. My time is quickly coming to an end here on this platform tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot more that I want to share with you, but I want to just make a point. There are many issues regarding the SWRHA which was raised previously in the debate by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition. There remains to be prosecuted a lot more on that issue. But I want to raise an issue with regards to what is happening at the SWRHA, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you who driving past the San Fernando Hospital complex now, you will notice that the 70-year, well, the roof, you won't know it's 70 years old, that the roof of the old SFGH building is currently being changed. We're happy for that. We are good to see a facelift being done. But I have to ask the following questions on behalf of the public. Is the correct gauge of roofing sheets that is suitable and required for hospital buildings being used? I am not sure that is the case. Was a registered engineer involved with the design or review of the roof drawings? In the 3 areas of the SFGH roof that were previously changed, the supporting frame was changed to structural steel, as recommended by a reliable and reputable structural engineering company in this country, and that recommendation was made some years ago. So I am asking here tonight, is it true that wooden rafters are being used to replace the old damaged rafters instead of the steel, ladies and gentlemen? So I trust that the proper job will be done, and this is not a cosmetic and election gimmick. Ladies and gentlemen, the workers in the health sector are so fed up of what is passing for governance under this Minister of Health and under this government that have been flooded with so many issues at the various authorities. But I just I want to close with one point, ladies and gentlemen, and the point is this: healthcare at the NCRHA is taking on a new service. I am reliably informed, and I hope my source is not so reliable, but because if this is true, this is madness. I am told and there is evidence that workers employed by the NCRHA are now planting a garden at the entrance to the RHA. Yes, MP Munilal, they are planting a garden, and the purpose of that, there are various things, bygone and other things, right? And the purpose of this now, this produce is being used to supply the kitchens at the NCRHA. And really and truly, so they are being paid overtime for this, of course. They're not doing it for free. It's not voluntary work. But the question is this, what kind of contractual arrangement is this, Dr. Gopi? You're saying you were a former chairman of an RHA yourself before becoming a minister. What kind of arrangement is this? What kind of guarantee is this for food supply? Was this an experiment in something or the other? And whilst this is happening, there's a shortage right now. You can't get certain requirements, certain reagents to supply for blood tests and so on for those patients who require renal dialysis and kidney transplants and whatnot and so on. So ladies and gentlemen, as I close, I want to say to you tonight that the UNC remains strong under our visionary leader, Kamla Prasad-Bissessa. I urge you, our loyal supporters, to continue to work with us. With your support, we will win both local government elections on the 17th of June. We are on the road to remove this incompetent government whenever the next general elections are called. This great party of ours is overflowing with talented and competent persons to form the next government. And that will be a government that will restore the health care and provide the services and drugs and medications that so many of you now cannot get. That will be a government that will restore hope and bring peace and harmony to an embattled nation. That will be a government that will remove the suffering that you, my brothers and sisters, have been experiencing for close to 9 years. So I urge you to remain strong and focused. Trinidad and Tobago will once again see good governance and good government when Kamla Prasad-Bissessa is returned as Prime Minister to complete the work she started in 2010. Long live our political leader. Long live the United National Congress. I thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you, MP for Faisabad, Dr. Lakram Bodo. Our next speaker is the MP for Oropouche West, Shadow Minister of Finance and Chairman of the United National Congress. Although looking young, he is a founding member of the United National Congress, being part of that stalwart crowd in the mud and in the rain in Aranguez in 1989. MP Tanku holds a bachelor's in economics as well as being a qualified attorney at law. Dave continues to educate and equip himself to be the best person he could possibly be. Not limiting himself to the public sector, Dave has also worked in the private sector for a number of years, where he worked as a project manager as well as an executive director for a number of years. He has held key positions within the party for many years and previously served as the General Secretary, among other positions. Dave was instrumental in the victorious 2010 election, as well as rebuilding the party after 2015. He has been working tirelessly in formulating and building the plans and policies to transform the nation through good governance and proper representation. Dave continues to be a strong, unshakable supporter of the party and believes in the UNC with all his heart. Please welcome to the podium our MP for Oropouche West, MP Dave Tanku.
Much, Councillor Ramona Victor, colleagues, honorable political leader, members of the National Executive, fellow parliamentarians, local government, representatives, my brothers and sisters, all, I wish you a good night. Tonight, I want to share with you some information about what is happening with your money, your savings, and your earnings. Now let us be real. When you start to talk about national accounts, many people roll their eyes, they yawn, some take a human break, or some fall asleep. You see, it is not exciting or entertaining to talk about government revenue, about government expenditure, subsidies and transfers and investments and borrowing limits and so on. All we know about the Minister of Finance is that he is an evil little man who seems to take great pleasure in imposing taxes, tax after tax after tax on our citizens. I will never forget how he sat and grinned and laughed as he raised gas prices time and time and time again, and had the shamelessness to say, but they are right yet, I could raise it again. So said, so done, and you must never forget that man either, especially for that reason. But that man is responsible for spending your money, and he's supposed to be spending your money for your benefit. Over the last 9 years, Calm Imbert has spent $529 billion. How much is that? $529 billion of your money. This is more money than any of us or all of us will ever see in our lifetime and in millions of lifetimes to come. This is your money, $529 billion. How has your life improved? I have always said that this government has the money in it. They have the money in it. What they have, though, is bad mind. What they have is malintent. They refuse to spend it on you because they don't have political will. They don't care to see you and your lives improve. So this is correct. This is more than $500 billion. We're at a different level now. So where have they been spending these billions? Just $500 billion, as my good friend just reminded me. Well, you just heard from Dr. Bodo about how bad the health system is. And anybody going through the health centers or the hospitals now, any one of you know that they don't have enough doctors or nurses, they don't have medicine, they don't have equipment. You know you have to wait weeks and months for important critical tests and years for emergency surgery. This is not just a question of malpractice by the Minister of Health. That's a different issue. This is a question of resources, about money. Every one of you here tonight has been touched by crime, unfortunately. Every one of you. Every one of us knows somebody who has been robbed. Somebody has been assaulted, beaten, kidnapped, raped, or murdered. 2 days ago, we would have all seen the videos where a doubles vendor, this young lady, was dragged screaming by kidnappers, screaming. Those sounds will never leave my mind because of the level of desperation that there is. Christina Adet, from right around the corner, has been missing for the last 9 months. Just down the road, a whole family of men were lined up and executed just 1 year ago. Every day we hear about home invasions. The crime situation is the worst it has ever been. And while all of that is happening, ladies and gentlemen, the police service does not have the resources, the money to hire more policemen, to provide more police cars, so that when you make a phone call to get help, the police wouldn't have to tell you that they have no vehicles, because it is true they have no vehicles. I am blessed tonight by the presence of my young friend, Praying Mantis, on the microphone here tonight. That's a blessing, ladies and gentlemen, because the UNC is a blessed party. So I was saying, this too is an issue of resources, where the police service is starved for resources. But ask yourself, where the money gone? Where has all this money been spent? I have told you all repeatedly, we have all said it from this platform, that you cannot trust this government. I wonder if you all will remember this. Pay attention to what is about to be played on your screens.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. A As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.
The Cosa Nostra is a crime syndicate involved in murder, kidnapping, drug addiction, drug involvement, illegal drugs, racketeering, corruption, human trafficking, and the extortion of businessmen. That is what Cosa Nostra is. This is a prime minister who is boasting of operating like a mafia, demanding secrecy or else they will kill you politically. So when you have a prime minister glorifying crime and misconduct, what is the message that he is sending to young people in this country? It is this kind of gangster talk that has contributed to the glorification of gang culture, thuggery, and violence in our country. And let me show you how all of this is related to the expenditure of your money. Imagine you get your bank statement and when you look at it, you decide you don't like the income figure. You don't like how much money you are making. Now that's true for all of us, but what would you do? Would you storm into the bank and tell the bank manager that he should increase the figure in your bank account by a few $1 million? What do you think will happen? Do you think the manager will say, sure, no problem, and raise the account value? Hell no. The manager will ask you to show evidence of your claim. Show proof. Where these millions you say should be in the account, show where it came from. When it was deposited. Provide copies of the checks, deposit slips, etc., etc. That is how financial integrity and auditing works to protect your money in the banking system. For the country of Trinidad and Tobago, we have what is called the Office of the Auditor General. This is an independent institution established under the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Independent means that the Auditor General is free from the interference of any politician. The role of this Auditor General is to conduct an independent audit of all revenue and expenditure by this government. Her objective, and I say her because in our current instance, she is a female. The objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from misinformation, whether due to fraud or to error, and to submit a report with her findings to the Minister of Finance, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate, who are then required to lay it in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. That has been the practice from time immemorial. It is now history that the Auditor General has in fact done her job and submitted the reports of the Auditor General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in time. So Imbert got a copy, and just like I explained just now, Imbert got a copy towards the end of April. He didn't like what he saw. What transpired then is the worst example of governmental outreach, overreach, and abuse in this nation's history. How is this related to the Cosa Nostra gangster behavior the Prime Minister boasted about? What I'm telling you now is not secret. This is in the public domain. I'm just connecting the dots for you. There's an annual deadline to submit information. The Ministry of Finance submitted the information. 2 months after the deadline passed, the Ministry of Finance then wrote the Auditor General saying, hey, we discovered we made a huge mistake of $3,379,777,908. They claim that they had understated the revenue, so we're supposed to get more money. They claim they had understated the revenue by $3,379,777,908. Now that's a very specific number, $908. So they come up with that in some form or fashion. That is a massive figure. This is a huge figure. This is not the $5 you find in your pocket when you go to wash your clothes. Oh, I find $2. This is not that, you know. This is $3.4 billion. How are you going to misplace that? How? How? Imbert, but it gets worse, brother. It gets worse. Imbert's ministry then demanded that the Auditor General change the figure by $3.4 billion. She didn't. A couple of days afterwards, the ministry wrote again and saying that out of this $3.4 billion, they have now discovered that they had reconciled $2.9 billion and were trying to continue to reconcile the rest. To reconcile means that the ministry could now provide supporting documents, deposit slips and transfer forms, hard copies of transactions, etc., etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, Let us rise and welcome the political leader of the United National Congress and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissau.
Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. And everything you do, yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you. And all the things you do, it was called Yellow. So then I took my turn. Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin goes turning to something beautiful. And you know I love you so. You know I love you so. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do. 'Cause you were all yellow. I drew a line, I drew a line for you. Oh, what a thing to do. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turning to something beautiful. And you know, for you I beat myself trying. For you I bleed myself trying. Let's see. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the
Ladies and gentlemen, let us make a joyful noise. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. That is inspiration. That is motivation. Let us give another round of applause to our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissau, and Dr. Gregory Bissau, who was accompanying her tonight. So I was telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that the Auditor General was given a letter of instruction saying change the figures, increase the revenue by $3.4 billion. Well, there was some toing and froing, etc. And the Auditor General eventually said, oops, sorry. The Auditor General eventually said, listen, you say increase the figures, bring your documentation, provide the evidence. They said that they had the evidence. Now, this is not some fly-by-night company. This is the Ministry of Finance under Coleman Booth that said $3.4 billion is our figure. She said, okay, I'm going to come and audit it. And she sent the auditors. All the ministry had to do was say, here, these are the documents. These are the supporting documents that they say they reconciled. They say they had supporting documents. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, and it's in the Auditor General's report, that the Auditor General sent a team, and when they went there, the Ministry of Finance did not provide the supporting documents. They did not provide the supporting documents, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Speaker, I thought it was in Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, only Coleman Booth and the persons under his direct control could tell this country today why no supporting documents were provided to justify the money they say they had reconciled, they had proof of. Now, yesterday, on his return from his almost monthly plane ride, the Prime Minister described this imbroglio between the Ministry of Finance, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General as unnecessary and dangerous bacchanal. Well, he should have told that to his ministers who openly attacked a senior public servant because they thought she was weak. They thought she would tremble when they start to pray. They attacked her without an investigation. Well, to her credit, Ms. Ramdas decided that she was not going to fold up. She was not going to simply compromise her integrity because of the bullying of two PNM ministers following their Prime Minister's example. According to Rowley, he says in his Oxfordian accent when he read it, I wouldn't even try to imitate him. As Prime Minister of the country, I don't take lightly a public official, especially one in audit, that says to the rest of the world that the finance minister is engaged in backdating the books. He says that is a very, very serious allegation with far-reaching consequences. Well, Prime Minister, in case you were closing your fridge door and didn't hear it, in a press conference last week, Carl Imbert, in a press conference, admitted in the first instance that his ministry had submitted a backdated statement of revenue which reflected a new figure but with a false date of submission. In so doing, ladies and gentlemen, Imbert was forced to admit that his documents supplied by the Ministry of Finance, his ministry, was fraudulent, as the date on which it was purported to have been submitted at the end of January was totally false. In fact, it was submitted months afterwards. So, a backdated letter was sent by the Ministry of Finance exactly as the Auditor General complained about. Imbert admitted it. So what now, Mr. Prime Minister? Where are the far-reaching consequences? You don't need to wait on any investigation. It is already in the public domain that an illegal, fake, fraudulent letter was submitted and demands were made on the Auditor General to act on it. That is fraud. But you know, like you and I expect Pete Rowley to do absolutely nothing about that. Not a thing. Because this is a Prime Minister who rewards incompetence. Just look at Hines. And I know that's hard to do. Believe me, I know that's hard to do. But just look at that fella. Rowley said too that he was in constant contact with Imbert. You mean Imbert didn't tell him that he had confessed 2 or 3 days before that an illegal backdated letter was submitted? You mean that's true? Imbert set him up? He didn't tell him that he had a whole press conference and admitted to this illegal activity? How does the PNM Mafia Code fit into that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let me tell you how. If the Auditor General had conceded and changed the revenue figures like they demanded, although unsubstantiated, based on a backdated illegal letter, then the country would never have known about this multi-billion-dollar error. And I put error in Rowley's code of silence would have been maintained, but they did not count on the true independence of the Auditor General, ladies and gentlemen. So when they demanded that the Auditor General's accounts be changed to show higher revenues without providing supporting documents, even when requested, They expected blind compliance. They expected blind compliance in an unethical and a corrupt act. And when it was refused, they sought to follow the Prime Minister's instruction and destroy the Auditor General politically and professionally. Imbert in Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, claimed he washed his hands. He said, I had nothing to do with this, nothing to do with this. This is the ministry officials. You know, a few days ago it was discovered that Imbert picked up the phone and called this lady's private number and bullied her, trying to get her to engage in this corrupt act. I challenge Mr. Colmember tonight to deny that that is true, that he called the Auditor General and demanded that she make changes to the audit report, despite the fact that he couldn't support the documents. He bullied, and to her credit, we'll get to that. But what kind of creature is that? Somebody says Adwen. Somebody says Adwen. Somebody says a shorter version of an ugly Dwen. What kind of person is that? Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. We might laugh about it, but this is a very serious matter. The Minister of Finance was trying to get an independent Auditor General to cook the books. And when she refused, he then took her around to using his office in a smear campaign. And this is not the first time, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few days before, the Auditor General complained that she received another phone call before that one with the Auditor General's report, before that one, when she complained that when she wrote a report about the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, that the minister again called and said, change it. So he taught in for a long time now. And not just is he taught in, but you, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay the price for his taught in. I hope when we form in the next government, I will appeal to the Honorable Kamla Prasad Visesa as Prime Minister then to ensure that when malfeasance like that takes place, that those persons, that kind of minister, pay for it out of their own pocket. Pay for it out of, if you're so convinced that you're right, pay for it out of your pocket. I wouldn't bother to challenge Rowley and Imbert to do that, because this is a cover-up. This is a cover-up. But bear in mind, like I said, when a Prime Minister instructs his ministry, when he instructs his ministries to behave like Cosa Nostra, like part of a scandal, part of a mafia, when a PNM Minister of Finance, Prime Minister and the Attorney General will try to bully an independent office holder into acting illegally and against her professional code of conduct, and they see nothing wrong with that, this country is then being run by thugs, bullies, and crooks. If a Prime Minister will pretend to close his eyes to it, then he is facilitating the abuse of office. Where is the evidence in any case that this $3 billion came forward? Why didn't they produce this? You know why? Because they were cooking the books. It was not there. There's other, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more. I've gotten like my friend, my MP, Dr. Bodo. There's a lot more, but we're short on time. The Auditor General also reported that $1 billion in expenditure. How much Arnold says? $1 billion in expenditure has gone missing. They can't account for $1 billion in expenditure. You know what $1 billion is? I have never seen that kind of money. Never, never, never. I know some of them have, because I remember seeing a footage of a minister, now a minister of works, with boxes telling people how much money could fit in a carry box. I hear you, brother. What could $1 billion have done? $1 billion could have ensured that wells were dug, reservoirs created, small desal plants introduced, so that the people of Oropouche West didn't have to beg for water every day. $1 billion could have cleaned every river, every drain, every stream, so that people of Oropouche West and other areas would not have to be petrified of flooding. It is time for this discrimination to stop, my brothers and sisters. As I conclude, we are tired and fed up of being at the mercy of these criminals. This government boasts of being like a mafia, a criminal organization. And like a mafia, they're extorting from the citizens and feeding their friends, family, and financiers. And they are doing it openly. When a government descends into criminal conduct, they have to protect their criminal friends. And that is why we are facing the worst crime wave in our nation's history. And that is why this government is not focused on the criminals. They're targeting licensed gun holders, ladies and gentlemen. We have had enough. The time has come now for you to save yourselves, save your family. Join the United National Congress. Join us, ladies and gentlemen, as we take this country back and save our country from this criminal government. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
The Indian anthem is in. But the dancing begins. Nazare.
Thank you, MP. Thank you, MP for Oropuch West. Let's hear it for MP Tanku. Ladies and gentlemen, hailing from the village of 5th Company, our next speaker is a dedicated individual with a profound passion and engaging with the youths and a compassionate heart for assisting those in need. Miss Gopal's journey unfolds as a testament to her relentless pursuit of personal and professional growth. Let's welcome our next councillor for the electoral district of Lingua Indian Walk, Miss Nicole Gopal.
The vocalist is here.
Good night to our esteemed political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the most effective and noteworthy Prime Minister this country ever had. A special good night to my MP, Miss Michelle Benjamin, my role model and the pillar and caretaker of Maruga Tableland. All executive members, councillors, Siparia, Lingua Indian Walk, and of course, Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight, I want to express my gratitude to the screening committee and the party, again, another opportunity to represent the people of Lingua Indian Walk. I also want to acknowledge the residents of Lingua Indian Walk for accepting me as their champion. I want to give the assurance that this election will be brought home to the United National Congress. As your councillor, Lingua Indian Walk, I will continue to advocate for solutions to all issues that you face within our communities. I have been on the ground from day one, and I am still on the ground working for you. But come the 17th of June, we will reclaim our rights. We will reclaim Lingua Indian Walk. One for all and all for one. We will show them the power of the people. We will show them the power of this great party, the United National Congress. Thank you so much.
UNC family, it is when people are here by the thousands spilling over into the yard and into the road. Let us remember that it is when our political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, made the call that elections, call the by-elections or else. It is then we got the date for these 2 seats. We must remember that. And therefore, it is my privilege and honor to introduce from the fortress of the Pinal-Debe Regional Corporation in the constituency of Siparia, the winning candidate for the district, Queen Amon Diablo, Ms. Sarah Sukdev.
The vocalist is here.
A pleasant good afternoon to my UNC family, our honorable political leader and the best Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago has ever seen, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, members of Parliament, local government representatives, members of the National Executive, my UNC family. It gives me great pleasure to stand here as your UNC candidate for the electoral district of Quina Mondiablo. I come before you with clasped hands, and I come before you with a clean hand. Since childhood, I have been ardent about serving God through humanity. Serving people has always been my passion. For the past 20 years, this has been my mission. I have been compelled and moved to offer myself as a servant because I see the need now more than ever based on the atrocity, the oppression, and the hardships our people are facing under the current government. I see my people in pain. My people are without jobs. My people are marooned in their homes because of crime. Business people are afraid to open later because of rampant robberies. We no longer feel safe in our comfort zone. It is time we take a stand against this current government. I know my Quina Mondiablo people always stand for the right thing, and they do not fall for unrealistic expectations. We are not easily swayed by the pie in the sky offers and the smoke screens that are being offered, to name a few. After 9 years of neglect by our current government, I know you will not forget this hardship because we are all living this. Let us show the current government we are fed up to live our lives like we are in prison, and we need a much needed change that we all deserve. Tonight, I pay tribute to my predecessor, Mr. Dipti Ramnath, who was a political giant in his own right. I know when elected, I have huge shoes to fill. May his soul rest in peace. I ask you to accept me as a woman, but in the words of my political leader, as she puts it, don't mistake my kindness, my compassion, and my feminine energy as a weakness. I believe a spark of divinity exists within each one of us, and I believe in locating my divine spark, I will shed that much needed light of upliftment, growth, and development in Quina Mondiablo. Tonight, we put God in front and we are walking behind. There's no doubt we are taking Quina Mondiablo home. I thank you.
That is fire! Will you agree with me? And even though we are next to a fire station, you could say fire loud, nothing will happen, because that fire station, built by the United National Congress, has been unable to be outfitted with a fire truck to this day. So feel free to scream fire. That was fire from Sarah Sukdev, the winning candidate for the Quina Mondiablo electoral district. Give her a round of applause. A young student completing a bachelor's in government in 1985 at the UWI, moved on to become a political gladiator in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago as a senator. He moved swiftly in 2002 to become the Member of Parliament for Oropouche East, and in 2010, Minister of Housing, with a slate of achievements. He then further pursued the stream of academics to move to The Hague in the Netherlands, complete a master's and a doctorate and a law degree, and today continues to serve as the deputy political leader of this party and the Member of Parliament for Oropouche East. I give to you none other than the Lion, the Honorable Dr. Rudal Munilal.
Welcome the Lion, the Royal Lion.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Assembled at this mass meeting in Penal tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. Before I give salutations, I want to say that at 10 to 7 tonight, we had not one empty seat in this hall. And as I look at the mass of you here, I believe there are more people outside standing at this venue than inside sitting in this auditorium. Give yourselves a round of applause. The PNM must be trembling and others must be stifling. Brothers and sisters, tonight I acknowledge the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Member of Parliament for the constituency of Siparia, former Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, and the next Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Gregory Bisesa, parliamentary colleagues, members of the executive assembled here, former Member of Parliament, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, former Member of Parliament, Ms. Neela Khan, former PNM Councillor in Faizabad, Mr. Maurice Alexander is here. Let's welcome. We welcome all. It is a united national Congress. We want to welcome Comrade Jackman and his team from the Oilfield Workers Trade Union. They join us. Our friends in the other trade unions are with us, supporting us. Our party today is stronger than ever, more united than ever, and more certain for victory than ever. Brothers and sisters, tonight I have very serious issues to raise with you. This is not a night for Mickey Mouse business. It's not a night for Goofy and Looney Tunes and so on. This is a night for very serious matters, as Comrade Tanku told us earlier. We face the most difficult times in our country's history. Tonight, brothers and sisters, reflect a minute where this country is today. How many people can honestly say that they are better off today than they were when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister? None. None. Today, we suffer. This government has been digging out the eyes of the poor man. They have been suffering people. They have trampled on your rights. They have collapsed the economy. We'll come to security in a minute. But basic amenities you don't have. Every single day is murder and murder. Do you know this country has not had a murderless day in years? A murderless day. When we were in government, we had 34 days without a murder in Trinidad and Tobago under the partnership. Brothers and sisters, the chairman told you, we built a fire station here. They put a fire tender, the bumper fall out. That is what they did. Look at this school when I was coming through in the daylight. Stuart Young came here and I think he tumbled down as well. Yes. And when I was coming here in daylight, I saw this site, this unbelievable site. What was supposed to be an educational center of the Caribbean. Schools like university campuses. Look at it. It is now covered by Karaili vine. It is now overrun with bush. The guard fell asleep when he looked up in the sky. He see the moon and the star. He said, but that is amazing. The thief they galvanized too. The thief they galvanized. That was supposed to be the centerpiece of an educational center, not only for Penal Debe, for the entire country. The entire country. They have vandalized it, and it's the PNM caused that. The Kuva Hospital, Dr. Lakram Bodo told us just a few minutes ago about that. The Children's Hospital, built for the children, designed for children. There's a difference between a design for an adult hospital and for children. We know it, we did it. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa opened the children's hospital. When we left office, they went and they looted. They took away all the equipment. They took away everything. The fella said the Alsing gone there. There was a state-of-the-art MRI scan machine
the latest technology. When he see that, he thought it was a washing machine and dryer. He carried home. They take that to the thought it was a washing machine and dryer. Brothers and sisters, the PNM loot everything. They closed down everything. And today, the Minister of National Security was seen on a plane. I think he left this morning from Miami. Somebody else was on the plane. They say, no, before the plane take off, he sleep away. Normally, is when the plane take off, you just take something to eat and thing and you sleep. That fella sleep away before they take off. He has gone. He has no responsibility for the crime. Did you know a day or two ago, we had 5 murders in one day. 5 murders. And while that was happening, Rowley was gallivanting and loitering all over the world. I think he spent time on 2 continents. He was invited to nothing. Nothing. He went to Ghana, he went to India. We will not get a pong of yam and we will not get a bottle of ghee. I'm telling you. Not 1 pong of yam and not 1 bottle of ghee you will get from that trip. Nothing. While in India, not 1 representative of the Indian government met him. The fellow was loitering. He went and meet some regional head somewhere. Man, if he wanted to meet the head of a region, he could have come and meet the mayor from Siparia. He's the head of a region too. Huh? You didn't have to go there. He spent $400,000, and we'll get the details. He spent $400,000 to watch a cricket match and go to a temple. In this country, we have temple and we have cricket. He spent $400,000, wasting time. I think he met a businessman's son or something. But what is important with that is that he is asking a family in India to build a cricket academy in Trinidad and want to give 30 acres of land in Trin-City, land that was already earmarked for a solar farm. They took it away from a solar farm and want to give it Pantrinbago lands and surrounding areas, because I think it's 30 acres of land. 30 acres. But there's a Brian Lara Cricket Academy right in Taruba. They have not had 1 course in cricket yet. Not 1. Spent $1.2 billion. You know the initial budget for that was $275 million. It went to $1.2 billion. And cricketer Dr. Gopi Singh, you will want to know that they're just putting out tenders now for repairs to the Brian Lara, which they opened just a few years ago. $80 million in repairs. That is the scandal we face. While that is happening, brothers and sisters, I want to tell Mr. Ambani, of course we have great respect for Mr. Ambani, his family and so on. Please, don't put no money in Keith Rowley Hannah. Don't give him none. Because you're not sure what he will do if you give him the money. Leave that deal right there. We will look at it in due course, I'm sure. But we do not want the Rowley to be taking no money. He will take that to pay off for Balize House and to campaign. If you give him money, nothing for him. Nothing, absolutely nothing. While that is happening, rampant corruption. Today, I got another piece of information. Kevin, you have that WASA business you can show on your screen, I believe now. At the WASA, do you know why they are trying to smother and hide this report of the Auditor General? Trying to cook the books, as Dave told us earlier. They are doing that because it will expose massive corruption, brothers and sisters. Today we highlight for you, I think it should be on your screen as well, that in the Community Water Improvement Program under the Ministry of Community of Public Utilities, imagine a Community Water Improvement Program, a payment for $25 million was made to WASA under this program called Community Water Improvement Program for the financial year, of course. This amount was paid for the implementation of 15 projects of Community Water Improvement Program. The audit found they were unable to verify this payment with supporting documents, and the supporting documents were not presented to the auditor. $25 million in WASA projects goes, and they're coming and down to fool you in Queen Anne, Mount Diablo and other places, I believe. Coming to open tap. And sometimes, regrettably, I see some of our own members of the party, they go to open tap. And they go to open tap and take picture and clap and so on. And that is mama guy. It have no water. And that is bubble. $25 million cannot be accounted for in the community water improvement program by this government, brothers and sisters. So others, our Shadow Minister of Public Utilities, Barry, will speak more on that, I am sure. But I want to get along to two other issues very quickly, brothers and sisters. And one issue deals with this matter of the SSA. You know what is the SSA? And don't spell that backward. Now, this SSA, I'll get your attention. The SSA, spelled Strategic Services Agency, that is a spying institute, a spying agency. Now, all over the world, all of you watch TV and things, you hear of CIA, Mossad. Where's the one in Russia again? They have something there too. KGB and so on. In Trinidad, we have an agency established by law by the administration of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. We put the law in place for that. Because in doing police work, the police depends on what is called intelligence. Now, intelligence is not evidence. You can't charge nobody intelligence, but you have to collect intelligence to investigate. Police depend on that. They depend on that. Today, Keith Rowley, Hines, Young, and others have gone on a witch hunt, firing the director of the SSA, other staff members of the SSA, on all kind of crazy grounds that they transfer weapon illegally and gun illegally. They're cooking up all of that. As I said before, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. They want to deceive you. They say they're transferring gun. Police always transferring gun from one police to the next. That is normal. It happens in every police station. But they had an investigation and they want to they remove the staff. Today, the police cannot depend on this unit, critical, to get intelligence to solve crime. Policemen now have to find somebody with a crystal ball. They had to go by Obiaman and Pundit and thing to find out what happened. With the car that committed the robbery, it was a blue car or a green car. They had to go by Obiaman to find out that. Because the intelligence agency has become dysfunctional, inoperable. It is not working. And I tell you this because it is not one type of crime. It is every type of crime that they collect intelligence on. White-collar crime, murder, gang violence, and so on. So if you have no intelligence, how could you ever prosecute anybody? How could you move to get evidence? And that is the problem. And now we have a more bizarre development taking place that I will tell you about. You see, during the week, during the last 2-3 days, they interviewed two key persons of the SSA. The former director, Major Roger Best, and a former operative, one Ian Brown. Master Brown. When they were doing those interviews, it became clear they had no evidence. So do you know the DPP instructed the police to let go those persons, to send them home? You can't keep them if you don't have evidence, you don't have anything to go by to charge them. So the DPP ordered the police. Do you know the police who investigating this is the same one who went to Barbados to abduct Brent Thomas? It is in a judgment. How coincidental it is that the same police, not one, two officers involved, who went to Barbados, where a judge said they abduct a citizen in Barbados, they investigating the SSA now. So when they go now, they realize that they cannot charge, so they're looking to widen this investigation. You know what is going to happen soon? They will now have to go and question, or detain, or arrest, or charge the Chief of Defense Staff of Trinidad and Tobago. The head of our defense force. No. He is Vice Air Marshal Daryl Daniel. That is the man. Correct? Yes, Wade? That guy was also assisting the SSA in the conduct of their duties. Now he has to keep his lawyer on speed dial. And as Saddam will say, he has to have a good, clean deed. Because the police have an interest now on what they were following the law, conducting the business of the SSA. But you see, they had a deeper, demonic reason for touching the SSA. The PNM has an operative, a junior constable, and they wanted to give him the authority to do spying because they wanted to spy on the UNC, politicians, opposition leader. They wanted to spy. And when the SSA persons tell them, no, you can't do that. We can't do that. We're not for that. They wanted to hand over all the equipment to a junior constable who reports to Fitzgerald Hines. That is what they were doing. And they want all this to be controlled by a small little unit of police as part of a particular branch. And Roger Best and others say, no, that is outside of the law. We cannot do that. Do you know 2 or 3 days ago, the same sleepyhead, he wake up in the parliament for 5 minutes. And he confessed, it is in the parliament record, that police was following members of the opposition. He confessed that in parliament, is on the record now. We said nothing. Because quite frankly, people told me, colleagues tell me, jump up, he must withdraw. I said, no, no, no. Let him put it on the record. Don't withdraw that. He confessed that police was following UNC MPs. How he know that? How does Fitzgerald Hines know that? What business of his? But you see, they want to control all the spying equipment, which they got as a donation from a foreign government. And the persons in the SSA stood up to them. So brothers and sisters, this is a very serious matter you will hear more about. When we appointed a young lady sometime during our tenure, I think she lasts for 1 day. It had to be less than a day. Not even. I think she lasts for a few hours in a day and was removed forthwith. Didn't cost the taxpayer 1 penny. They made a big thing out of that, a whole campaign about this woman, calling she name all over the planet. Today, the SSA has collapsed. The entire intelligence community has collapsed. And Rowley say, I didn't know that blindsided me. Well, he easy to blindside. If that's the case, I wonder what else blindsided he. So, then he says today, he came last night from a plane somewhere, and he said, Trinidad and Tobago is now the playground of criminals. But Mr. Rowley, you are the caretaker of the ground. So if we are the playground of criminals, you are the caretaker. It is your job. It's not our job. It is your job to fight crime. So brothers and sisters, and related to that, I will tell you, my time is coming to an end and I really don't want to hear, and it'll be now. I think I'll go hear him later. But in closing, I will tell you that the CCTV cameras, it is the UNC, and I'm coming back to this. Do you know how much information, exposure your United National Congress, your opposition leader, your MPs have exposed in this country? I am making a list. The mosquito crack, the OS arbitration, we can call all the crisis in the finance sector that we expose, the health sector, the Ministry of Health building, all the UDCOT project with the central block. Rowley said in parliament he didn't know about the central block, what happened with Shanghai. But we told him, we have been working, exposing, holding the government to account. And now people come in to jump up and say, what, you can't win, you can't win, we not going to win. I want to tell them, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. But tonight, this is not the platform for that. I hope we get the platform very soon, because I saw a banner here. The stars are in alignment. There's a banner here saying that they are waiting on the stars. And tonight, it is a night not only of Moonilal, but it's a night of stars. And we must say, we must welcome the stars as well. So brothers and sisters, this is the crisis we face. This is why we need a strong executive. This is why we have a strong political leader. We are one leader, one team, onwards to victory. In the last local government, we beat the PNM. We beat them. So how can you say, oh, we can't win? That is PNM propaganda. That is the PNM narrative. Ours is we will win. We will win. Repeat, we will win. We will win. We will win. And brothers and sisters, as sure as the sun will rise in the morning, victory will come to the great United National Congress. Long live our political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Long live the great people of Oropuchis. Pinal Debe. God bless you. Love you.
Oropuch. Welcome the lion. The royal lion.
Let's hear it one more time for the lion! At this time, you have the opportunity to sit, cock up your foot if you want, and relax as we have some entertainment by Mr. Nigel Rojas.
And then an awkward silence descended on the room. How we doing now? I'm just here for a little while to pay tribute to an incredible lady, our ex and our future Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency. A special leader like you, and they're all yellow. We wrote this song for you, 'cause we appreciate you, and we are all yellow. And then you took my hand and looked across this land, and they were all yellow. Yeah, yeah. United we stand across this blessed land. You know we need you so. Kamala, we need you so. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. A special lady like you, and they are all yellow. Look around, you see our love for you, and everything you do. And we are all yellow. Yeah, yeah. United we stand across this blessed land. You know we need you so. We need you as our next Prime Minister. Kamala, we need you so. Go by class with the pharmacy. And the rest of the party too. And they are all yellow. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. special leader like you. And we are all yellow. Good night, Pinal. Boom.
First woman Prime Minister, first woman Attorney General, first woman to lead a parliamentary political party, first woman opposition leader. Welcome KPB Plus, solid everywhere.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Good night. I can't hear you. Good night. Siparia, are you in the house? Orpich East, are you in the house? Orpich West, are you in the house? Faizabad, are you in the house? And all of Trinidad and Tobago, are you listening? Are you viewing? We stand proud and strong with you. All the other MPs, senators in the crowd tonight, our councillors, our aldermen, and of course the UNC family joining across the World Wide Web, listening in and viewing. We say good night again. And welcome to the constituency of Siparia, the great constituency of Siparia. I want to thank all my constituents who have honored me over the years by really shoring us up and giving us great support for so many years of my life. Can we say thank you, Siparia? It's good to be home. I've been roving all over the country, but I always come back home here in Siparia. We are stone's throw away from the penal market. And as a child, I used to go there with my RG and my Aja to sell in the penal market. That is where I came from. Out of Siparia, out of penal, out of David. This is the area that I grew up in and learned all the things that I know. Now, if you could stand here tonight, you will see what I see. It is a sea of yellow. A sea of yellow. And we know the code is yellow is a code. We are UNC and we are proud. We are UNC and proud. I acknowledge, of course, Mr. Jackman and his team who is smiling away. He's so happy to be in this yellow crowd. Give him some welcome. Because on his chest he wears a crest, which is also yellow, a golden crest of the OWTU. We thank him for coming and joining us. And all the others who are here, all the protocols observed, we love you all. I really want to get into the serious issues, because we have some very serious issues. My colleagues, all powerful speakers came before me, but let us welcome on board our two new to-be councillors. Nicole in Lengua Indian Walk, and Sarah in Penal. Queenam here, Queenam Mondablo are two winning candidates. So let me spend a minute on where we came from. We have come in this entire country from a generation whose parents had very little to do. They had nothing, but what did they do? They sacrificed everything so we could have something. They worked tirelessly to give us an education. They worked tirelessly to give us a future. They worked tirelessly to help us raise a family, a chance. And they worked tirelessly to help us to own a home. And I say we must pledge as this great party, the UNC, and make sure that the sacrifices of our parents made must never ever be in vain. Never ever be in vain. We have to ensure we carry on what they toil for. The perseverance and dedication were not just about their personal success. We have to remember that. They also went about building a better future for all of us. I see someone is trying to show you something. Turn around and show them. So, the stars are in alignment, the placard says. The stars are all lined up, and all of us are yellow like the stars. Look at the stars. See how they shine for you and everything you do. And they were all yellow. Yellow is the code. Our parents or forefathers coming together as a community, supporting one another, working towards common goals. The spirit of unity and collective effort has always been our strength. It's the same spirit we must now invoke to accomplish great things. Tonight I want us to remember what we carry on our chest, what we wear in our hearts, what we work for together. And the first word is united. United. That is what we are. United, we can ensure that every child has access to quality education. That's what we did. No child be left behind. The UNC will reintroduce the laptop program. We promise and pledge that we'll bring back the laptop program. That way we can ensure our children are connected to the world. That is what we did 2010 to 2015. Today we are disconnected from the world. But even more important, we are disconnected from our communities. Because you're locked down in your house and you're afraid to come out. Look, one of my staff members, I spoke of Joelle recently, held up in her home. Our activist Joelle D'Souza. And just these few days, Maria, who works in my office, her house was invaded by bandits. Now you'll say, okay, that's one, but it's everywhere this is happening. And I was remembering, before 1995, under the then Manin regime, may God rest his soul, then, you all remember the kidnappings that used to be taking place? Crime was at an all-time high, and especially kidnappings. Everybody was forming into watch groups and so on. Many were leaving the country. Some of you may not remember, some people too young. And that's why sometimes we get lost along the way, because we must also remember where we came from, what we came from, what we went through, what we suffered. And in 1995, the UNC slogan was, if you do the crime, you will do the... Remember that? If you do the crime, you will do the time. And that is when we won the 1995 elections. And there we were, the crime went down. Going down, going down. Then what happened? What happened? PNM again. Yes, Anil, PNM again. And the crime started to escalate. Fast forward to 2010, again, what was it? It was crime. We talked about a crime, and the PNM lost the election. So we hardened. They said, stick break in your ears. How many times you will do the same thing? So after 2020 and come to 2015, what has happened? Crime rises every day. Rudy told us, not one day without a murder. As I'm standing here, the last numbers I saw was 214 murders. We have not even had 214 days in the year. Days in the year. We had an anti-crime meeting last Monday in Morva Lavanting. We got about 200 persons turn up at that anti-crime talk. 200. I thank you, and I want to thank the residents who came out there braving whatever the situation was, because that very day, the night we were going in, there was a murder in the area, that very day. But they came out, about 200 persons, and they talked about the loss of dearly loved family members. In fact, our alderman, who hosted the meeting for us there, Kareem, his wife and his brother-in-law were murdered just a few months ago in that very district. Family members losing loved ones to the gang members, to the criminals. Crimes, losing ongoing battles against government to simply get jobs. To get jobs. You know, I saw an article recently in the newspaper that out of Trinidad and Tobago, 5,000 persons applied to Disney cruise. Remember they were here? 5,000 persons. And you want to tell me people have jobs and don't talk about jobs? I saw Heinz put out some foolishness. Maybe he woke up from his sleep and decided to put out this post talking about, well, you don't have to go to crime if you don't have a job. And nobody's saying that the criminals doesn't have a job and that's why they go to crime. Where you get that from? But it's always to blame somebody else. That is their modus operandi. Anyway, 5,000 persons applied to Disney cruises. You remember when they had a police recruitment up the highway, there was blocked up with people applying for jobs. People want jobs. People want a decent living for themselves and their families. So of these 5,000 persons who applied, only about 80, less than 100 have been hired. Out of 5,000, only about 80. I saw the minister of whether it's tourism or wherever in the papers boasting that they'll get more for people to work with the cruise liners and so on. But jobs. When we were in office, we created over 51,000 jobs. We did so without a single tax, not one new tax. I'll come back to that. For the anti-crime talks, we'll go into some other districts. Now, MP Tanku, yes, brilliant speech, talked about the fiasco and the scandal with the Auditor General. What this government likes to do is they throw out a lot of statistics coming from inside and outside sources to make us believe that the economy is doing well, that they have done something for the economy. But I remember I used to teach a course at the University of the West Indies. And one of the books, I thought, you may not know it, I was a lecturer at the Mona campus. Give me a clap for that. And then I became a lecturer at the St. Augustine campus. And then I went and became a lawyer. And then the rest is history. I'm standing in front of you as a politician. So in that course, there was a book that I used. And it's called How to Lie with Statistics. So the truth is, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. So tonight I want to share with you, as I dig deeper into the statistics that the government pelts at us every time, we see the realities are very heartbreaking. Working class families are struggling to get by because even if they're employed, they cannot get by, and I'll share with you why. But before I do that, I want to show you data. Not how to lie with statistics. I want to show you raw data. And this comes out of that famous or infamous Auditor General report. Do we have a slide up there? Yes. This is a table from the 2023 Auditor General report. It is on page 94 of that report that they refused to lay in the Parliament. But in Trinidad, what happens in the darkness always comes to light. And so at page 94 of that report, we are seeing the government borrowed over $12 billion. in the last fiscal year. And we see that since 2019, that report, this is not statistics, this is data. 2019, 8.3 billion borrowed. 2020, 16.5 billion. 2021, 13.7 billion. 2022, 7.3 billion. Last year, fiscal 23, 12.4 billion. You know which money is this borrowed in the last couple of years? $58 billion by this government. That is what the report tells us. Look at it there, it's in black and white, from page 94 of that report. And I'm asking them, can the government say, are you doing well? If you have to borrow $12.4 billion in 1 year, are you doing well? If you have to borrow $58 billion, are you doing well? So they pelt us with these stats. But really they mean nothing. That is not reality. Look at it, $58 billion. And then what they're doing, they're borrowing this money to pay wages. I told you all before, the country is broke. The country is broke. We have run out of money, we spent it badly, corrupted it, the country is broke. 58 billion borrowed between 2019 and 23. I said they're broke because when they run the budget, they give us nice numbers again. They put up for the gas price, they budgeted when we sell our gas, we will get $5 US. But they have been collecting half of that. So when you budget, you project and collect all this money from selling the gas, but then you're getting half of what you projected to collect. And I'm saying be careful what work you do for this government, but they're not going to pay you because they don't have the money to pay you. Rudy and Tim and they will remember when we went into government in 2010, we had all these hundreds of contractors begging because the government had refused to pay contractors for work done under the then P&M government. 5 billion, Tim is reminding me. So be careful that you sign up for the work, and then what happens? They cannot pay you. It will then have to be, you put a UNC government in place so you can get paid. Look at the second clip. On page 97 of the auditor's report, the government is saying they have a 7.5 billion deficit for last year. But when we look at the same page 97, government say, okay, the deficit is only 7.5 billion. You hear a lie? That is lying with the numbers. When we add the $7.5 billion to the 12 billion borrowed, you see where the deficit is? 12 plus 7, almost $20 billion in deficit. What does that mean? Where all this money gone? Can you see it? Can you taste it? Can you touch it? They have not built a single new school. They have not fixed your roads, your streets, your drains. They cannot provide water. Where this $20 billion gone? It's recorded as a deficit because they've spent it, but they have nothing to show for it. They are running on credit. They owe everybody. They collected $49 billion from overtaxing you, but they spent $69 billion and nothing to show. Where the money gone? Where has this money gone? Not in your pockets, you know. It hasn't gone there, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And I'll show you where it's going, some of it. Then we come to the public debt. This is the borrowing. From page 89 of the auditor's report, the public debt increased by $27 billion from 2019 to 2023. And then we have, starting January to now, will be more public debt. So instead of creating opportunities and hope, the government's only answer is borrowing money, increasing taxes. Soon they'll increase water rates, and then electricity rates, and then property tax. They have increased the public debt by $27 billion in 4 years between 2019 and 2023. Again, that could never be a sign that the economy is doing well. Let's look at the next clip. Page 85. The public debt at the end of fiscal 2023 is 102 billion. As Arnold said, and I see Tadku taking good pattern, $102 billion. $billion. At the end of fiscal 23, $102 billion. And as I say, since September to now, again, will be more public debt. So the question is, who has to pay back all this debt? $102 billion. It will take my lifetime, my children's lifetime, my grandchildren's lifetime, my great-grandchildren's lifetime, and yours too. Cannot pay off this debt. They cannot pay it. But let me tell you who is benefiting from all of this. Who is to pay it? You. Taxpayers will pay it. But do you know who you have to repay this money to? I'll give you some. I'll share some with you. Wayne Mark is famous about exposing this issue with NCB Global and NCB Merchant Bank. The government has awarded financing contracts to NCB Global and NCB Merchant Bank for about $3.4 billion. So they got these contracts, we had to pay back that $3.4 billion. To whom? NCB Global, NCB Merchant Bank. This is a company run by Stuart Young's brother, Angus Young. The PNM came to power, and this company, I think Wade tells us, was just a small company. I wouldn't call them fly-by-night, you know, but small. Their share in the financing was minuscule. And now, $3.4 billion. When the PNM came into power, this company struck gold. So this is one minister's family. We know the other one, Faris Arawi, with his rentals and so on. And there are others that we exposed over time. Look at this again. These numbers, the 3.4 billion, we can find on pages 118 to 133, which shows loans, the financing that we borrowed from this NCB Global and NCB Merchant Bank. These companies, headed by Stuart Young's brother, they will collect billions in interest, payments from you, taxpaying, in billions in profits. So there's a listing there in the auditor's report, all the various loans that were taken. MTS, 400 million. CAL, 169 million. WASA, 125 million and 192 million. And UDICOT, 214 million. NIDCO, 230 million. NIPDEC, 200 million. MTS, 200 million. This takes up to what I told you before, $3.4 billion we have to pay back. And of course, who will get the profits from that? The profits will go on interest to these companies. Petrotrain 169, shut down Petrotrain up to today. Can't see the light of day. They shut down Petrotrain. We must never ever forget who blew out that light at Pointe-à-Pitre. Who blew out that light at Pointe-à-Pitre. Never ever forget. With thousands on the bread line. Thousands. Prime Minister goes to India. Well, Rudy talk about cricket. I am not a great cricket player, so I'll leave Rudy with the cricket. Goes to India, which has one of the largest refineries in the world. And you know what? They don't produce one drop of oil. Did you all know that? Largest refinery in the world, one of. Not one drop of oil do they produce. And when they shut down Petrotrain, they say, oh, we don't have enough oil, we have to import oil. And this company there, their refinery in India, imports every single drop of oil. Every drop of oil. And they are now in the top 5 economies in the world. Top 5 economies in the world, India is. So he goes there, but he don't go to see the refinery. Eh? He didn't go there to see the refinery. As Rudy say, he was just revealing all over the place. Then go to see it. Something that you could benefit from. Largest refinery amongst in the world does not import one drop of oil. And you shut down Petrotrain and say we have to import oil. Man don't understand energy or anything else, doesn't understand what could be done and cannot be done. We must never forget it. So while the PNM is giving you and your children grass cutting jobs, garbage collecting jobs, the PNM families are collecting billions. And then I hear some fellas going around the place promising if you vote for them, they'll give you CPEP contracts. Somebody told me that. I don't know, a CPEP contract and URP contract. But the PNM fellas running home with billions, their families. While you get 4%, wages given to public servants 4%, Angus Young's company gets almost 3.4 billion in financing and will get the interest of that. While you pay for your property rent, properties, rents, electricity, water, that family is raking in millions. $20.50 an hour for you. That's the minimum wage, is it not? 3.4 billion in financing contracts for Angus Young. So where are you going to find that extra 700 or 800 every month, 900 to pay higher electricity, water, property tax when things are so bad enough? This means you will have to cut back on your groceries, cut back on your children's schooling, cut back on extra lessons, cut back on insurance company payments, and even your occasional family outing. I remember there was a man in the parliament told us, don't make macaroni pie on Sunday. Am I correct? PNM MP. Use a coal pot. And don't go to the cinema, I think he said. You can't go so often. Oh yes, and ride the bicycle. Ride a bicycle. I cannot imagine seeing that MP riding a bicycle, quite frankly. I believe the bicycle will just collapse. I can't imagine. He's such a large person, you know, a wonderful human being. But anyhow, they're asking you to give up what you don't have. And I say this is madness. You know that saying, there's a saying, they're too wicked. This PNM government is too wicked. Wicked, wicked. This is madness. This government has been systematically destroying your quality of life. They're increasing the cost of living. They're throwing many persons into poverty and destitution. Here are some examples. Do you remember the fuel subsidy removals? Do you remember that? Minister Imbot said what? He raised the gas price 5 times and nobody ever riot yet. Fellas, in this round's coming, you will write with your fingers in the voting box. You'll put your X next to the rising nun, and that will be the biggest right of all as we run them out. Since 2015, they have increased fuel prices 5 times. Motor vehicle taxes. By 2018, they had removed tax concessions on the hybrid vehicles where the engine size was more than 1599 cc. They removed the tax concession. That was 2018. Fast forward to October 2020, what did they do? All the taxes, they reintroduced on the hybrid vehicles and the CNG vehicles. So first they take it down, they take out one set, and then they remove the concessions from all of them, so you had to pay more. It was the UNC, I want you to remember, which made a foreign used car available to citizens, making car ownership a reality for many, not just for the rich who could afford showroom vehicles. In that process, the UNC created an entirely new industry. You know, we have short memories. We must remember these things. A whole new industry that generated jobs and businesses for thousands. That was the used car industry. And then what did they do? They drove up the prices of foreign used cars, raised the prices. They limited the age of the foreign used to come in to 3 years. My UNC government, I tell you, will go back to revert the age limit back to 6 years for foreign used cars for citizens to be imported. So bringing the prices down and allowing the ordinary man to have a vehicle, not just the fellas driving the whatever they drive. I don't even know the name of those things, but I'm not driving that. I just have a little Prado. And I think Greg has, what is the name of that boy? That vehicle, I think, going out to come by us. What was it? What? Hilux, yes. Hilux. So we have to bring the car price down. And we have to go back to the hybrid and CNG vehicles where we gave the concessions so people buy them, use them. We have to do that. We have to go back to the future. Back to the future. Not back, what do you say? Forward ever, backward never. Totally agree. We have to go back to the future. What did they do again to make your life a living hell? They increased the business levy. They come in 2015 late. By 2016, they implemented a 200% increase on businesses who are already making a loss of small profit, again hitting the small man and hitting the small and medium businesses. They increased the Green Fund in 2016. I hope you're listening, while we talk about how many independent institutions they've been butchering, chopping off the necks of all these independent institutions. They have been systematically dismantling your quality of life by all these measures that they have taken. So what? Green Fund increased against small and medium businesses. 2016, the rate of contribution to the Green Fund, what did they do? They increased it. So again, small businesses, middle, in trouble. Online tax in 2016, they introduced a 7% online tax. Again, the small and medium-sized businesses tax again. VAT refunds, they put back the VAT on over 7,000 food items. We must not forget these things. We must not let them forget it either. And then I'm reading something strange in the papers. They say that if you want to import, you now have to have a BIR number. So suppose you're visiting from Barbados and you import a few things here, you're here for a few weeks. Where are you getting this BIR number? So can any foreigner come here and get a BIR number? What about the Venice? They don't pay no tax. Remember the government said no tax. What will happen to the Venice? I'm sure they bring in things, their family send them some nice Venice food, some nice Venice clothing, and the Venice used to have really nice shoes. I don't know about now. But when the economy was doing well, they used to have really nice things there. What happens to them? And what is the rationale of implementing this measure if it's not again to hit the small and medium-sized businesses? So the government can't just put down this story, they must tell us why. Let's go back to VAT refunds. As I said, it's 7,000 food items put on VAT. They increased fees. I don't think anybody has systematically analyzed this to see how they have systematically reduced your quality of life and increased the cost of living. So here we are. Fees for commissioners of affidavits, when you had to go to a court matter. Young Chris Hussein just became a lawyer. They have increased the fees. When you had to sign an affidavit, the commissioner fees increase. They have increased the fees for firearm users license. They have increased the cost of the inter-island travel between the two, Trinidad, Tobago, Trinidad. And then, of course, the big whammy, they're going to implement property taxes. I mentioned electricity and water. Don't get too serious and all, because you know what? We must put God in front, as one of the candidates reminded us, and walk behind. We must have faith, and we want to say that we must win. We will go in there and make sure that the UNC forms a government. When the PNM candidate comes to Lengua Indian Walk to campaign, or when that candidate comes to Mandablo, Queen Mandablo, ask them about this property tax thing and run them. Don't vote for them, run them. The PNM has really slaughtered our people. And therefore, our two candidates, two young, brilliant women, give them again a round of applause. And they'll be fighting two senior men. Both of these young, beautiful, brilliant women will be fighting two senior PNM fellows. So we have to do what we have to do. Again, I say all of this I'm sharing with you, systematic dismantling of the quality of life of yourselves and your families. Now, I want to share something else with you because I want to tell you, I told them so. And you always like to say, I tell you that, you know. I did tell you that, you know. I did tell you that, you know. Don't you all love to do that? Well, do it with me. We told you so. We told you so. We told you so. And here it is. Imbert. I brought the newspaper where Imbert is backing back and backing down. And I told him this is exactly where he would end up. On the news day, May 16, 2024, Imbert forgoes legal action against the Auditor General, agrees to a special report. Imbert forgoes. You know what forgo mean? He's not doing it. Back. Oh, what's Sparrow used to say? Don't back. Don't back because you're already in the trouble. And we will not let you off the hook. So what the article tells us, Finance Minister Colin Imbert has decided to forego, what a nice word, legal, what do you mean, as you say, back home? He backed down. Decided to forego legal proceedings against Auditor General Ramdas with respect to the latter's submission to Parliament of a report on the 2023 public financial accounts, which did not facilitate, he did not, remember I told you when he was in the Parliament, and the Speaker said, Auditor General's report 2023, Minister of Finance, he refused to lay the report, and now he backing down. The next part of the article says, you know what it says? It says, the original report will be laid in Parliament at the earliest opportunity. First, he's not going to sue the lady again. And second, he's going to lay the same report that on the 26th of April, he was called upon to serve. Boy, if you had shame, you should really hang your head in shame, but hang your head in shame. And here the third part now. I love this part. I always like to think I'm a brilliant lawyer. It is not the first time I've called them out. And they had to go back, and when you say eat their own words. You remember when they had this merit list, when they pulled back the list, we exposed them, interfering with institutions. Remember when Faris then AG laid the Commissioner of Police order in the Parliament to change how to select a commissioner? I personally prosecuted that matter in the courthouse, and they had to withdraw the offending provision. So here we are again. They say if you don't sing your own song, and if you don't blow your own trumpet, well, people may not do it because why? They don't know. So let's show them. The original report we laid in Parliament. So one, he not suing. He forgoes back down. Second, the same original report will be laid. Friday we are sitting, will be laid. And here this one. The Finance Ministry will provide Ramdas with all documents she requires to prepare a special report on the 23 public finance accounts. You know, that's exactly what I told him that day in Parliament. Exactly, they brought it like a thief in the night, the motion to extend time for a new report by August and so on. So we had to think really, really fast. And that day in Parliament on the 26th, before Kevin puts up the clip, I will read it for you. I advised the government as follows, and I'm quoting my words, which I'm very proud of, from the Hansard. This entire exercise today, if I may say so, I say this entire exercise today will take you to the courthouse. That is exactly what has happened. Mr. Hussein, I Saddam giving me backup. He said, yes. I continue. It will take you to the courthouse. And Mr. Hussein, Saddam, and they will lose. You will lose again. KPP continues. And you will lose again. And you will have to pay costs. So when it is you are extending like this, I say retroactively, where it is a report is already completed, and I'd said, look at them big fat book on the table. What you going to do with them? Report done, it finished. You can't go back now to do what? You cannot. But you could do a special report. And that's exactly what he's coming to do now. He has to lay those books. We told him so. And he now has to do what? Make the lady do a second special report. You have now discovered these discrepancies. You can ask the Auditor General on this section I just read to proceed and go forward. Do a special report. Do a special report. And then I concluded my contribution. I am proud today. I am very, very proud. I told them and I warned them. And that dunce Attorney General misadvised them. And then them big senior counsel eater food lawyers that they hired to write the Auditor General pre-action letter, they too gave wrong advice and said bring a motion to extend time. When all they had to do is lay the big fat report that finished and go for further time for a special report the law provides. So I want you, Kevin, if you can find a clip now, I would love to hear the voice telling them that in the parliament and watch their faces.
I say this entire exercise today will take you to the courthouse.
Yes.
You will take the court.
And you will lose again?
And you will lose again. And you'll have to pay costs. So when it is that you're extending like this, I say retroactively, where it is the report is already completed, you can't come and change the report by extending the time. You cannot. But you could do a special report. You've now discovered these discrepancies. You can ask the Auditor General on this section I just read to proceed and go forward, do a special report.
Okay? Now, that's exactly what they're going to do now. They're going to lay the report and then they'll do a special, but that's after how many millions of dollars have we spent? Because of their incompetence. How many millions did you pay these big lawyers you hired to give you that bad advice? How much millions you spend in the courthouse and costs? Taxpayers' dollars. All of that will come to light. Now, I don't like to disparage people too much. But Reggie Limo is the biggest dunce I've ever seen in the office of the Attorney General. The biggest dunce, will cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. Now, I don't know if you know it, but the president is out of the country. Some may know, some may not know. But Madam President, Her Excellency, is out of the country. What happens when that office holder is out of the country? You send an acting president. Who is the acting president? President of the Senate. Who is the president of the Senate? PNM till he born and PNM till he continue to live. Then what happens? The law provides a formula for the removal of an Auditor General with a process that the president can appoint a tribunal to investigate the Auditor General. Now this audit that Imbert trying to do, or what is this, a committee, and look, a brilliant lawyer like Anand dealing with that. That, I think the judgment will come out on the 3rd June, whether they will allow that committee to continue. So that's one part of that committee. But then the president has the power to appoint a tribunal to investigate. And who is this acting president? I'll tell you, is a PNM from day 1 to 5 and the rest of the days. And you remember what happened with Jawala Rambaran? Do you all remember the then governor of the central bank? When the president was out of the country, the acting president went and fired Jawala Rambaran. So I'm just asking for a friend, is this the plan, Mr. Prime Minister? Is this your government's plan? Is it true that this is your plan? I am asking, as I say, for the people of our great country. You have been hounding the poor woman out of office after she stood up and maintained her independence against you. So I warn you tonight, as we ask, is this the government's wicked plan to get rid of an independent officer who has stood her ground? She stood her ground. I speak a little bit now on crime before I close. Cannot not talk about crime. Kevin can put up the video, the split screen, please. As I said, we are in May, 4.5 months into this year, 214 murders in our land. Over the weekend, I read some stories of the unprecedented, sadistic, demonic, brutal crime wave, and my stomach churned and crawled. This is what we wake up every day to read and see. We have babies being murdered in a demonic manner, women being tortured and assaulted in the most horrific manner, and people being gunned down in the streets. We are in a war zone where chaos, destruction, sadistic brutality, sick, violent torture reigns. And in these areas in the deep Southland, there was a time not so long ago when crime was a rare thing to happen. We were safe, we were peaceful, we were comfortable. I remember we used to leave the door open. No, you can't just close your door, you know. You had to burglar proof it and bolt it down. Lock yourself down in your house. We were safe. We were peaceful and comfortable. Today, under this destructive, wicked government, just for this year, look at all the headlines. Superior laborer shot to death on way to work. Worker shot dead at job site by men dressed as police. 63-year-old man shot dead in Superior. Penal. Couple gunned down in Penal Parlor. Penal bar owner robbed of cash and jewelry by fake cops. Man found murdered in car in Penal. Penal father shields toddler in deadly gun attack. Man murdered in Penal. Woman murdered, husband injured in Penal ambush. Faizabad. Killing of breadwinner in the midst of joblessness must be condemned. Man found stabbed to death in Faizabad. Faizabad man killed, body left on the road. Nurse robbed of car at gunpoint in Faizabad after crash. Man shot dead in Faizabad. Orpuch East and Orpuch West. Doubles vendor shot in front children during home invasion. Taxi driver survives robbery attack. Crawls for hours to safety. 24-year-old shot dead in South Orpuch drive-by. Family assaulted during home invasion in South Orpuch. Stray bullet his boy on his way to church. This is Trinidad and Tobago today, a war zone. I think already mentioned about Prime Minister has admitted, he has admitted that Trinidad and Tobago is what? A playground of the criminals. And I got an article from Loop News, ACP News, with that headline. Excuse me a second. Here it is. ACP News, May 20th, headline, My Prior Bihari, Rowley, Trinidad and Tobago, a criminal playground. I think Monilal has dealt with that issue of the playground. So even the Prime Minister is admitting that we are overrun by criminals. We are living in a war zone. And the question will be then, when will they do anything about the criminality that is taking place? I say this to you tonight. Together, united as a country, united as a people, we must stop them. We must give this government a rest. We must take back our country, and we will stop them. We'll bring stand-your-ground laws. We'll make legal firearms more accessible to law-abiding citizens. When criminals invade your homes, you'll be able to defend your families. And if anybody's against stand-your-ground legislation and legal firearms, they don't care a thing about you or your family. Do not care. They just do not care. So we've launched our campaign tonight, and I'm told last week, Chairman Gautam and others of our team were walking in the Queen Ham and Diablo electoral district. And people told them, that the PNM team there is telling the voters that they need a party card to vote in the by-election. They need a party card to vote in the by-election. Totally untrue. All you need is your EBC card. So I don't know if this is a way to force them to join the PNM. You don't need a UNC card, you don't need a PNM card, all you need is a UNC voting finger and your ID card to go out and cast your votes on the 17th of June. And there's another thing I'm being told, that people are campaigning against the UNC and UNC members. And they're going about with mic cars, with, broadcasting. And I want you to remember that if you defame someone, you can do it by writing the defamatory statements, or you can do it by broadcasting. And a mic car is a broadcasting medium. And I'm told that they're going about attacking UNC members. And I'm asking all of you in your communities, look out for them mic car and write down the car number, and we'll send them lawyer's letter for defaming UNC members. Don't let them get away with it. So they feel if they're on a mic, they're anonymous. But that car is registered to someone with that mic on top of it. So I'm giving you notice, UNC, look out for these wicked people. Report it to us, or councillor, your MP, and so on in your district. I finally said the UNC has been leading the way. We are the party with better policies, better ideas and programs. Since our inception, the UNC has led the way in politics and governance. United will ensure, as I said, every child has access to quality education. Laptops, tablets, best education practices. You remember we introduced the dollar for dollar. It was under Mr. Pandey's government, the dollar for dollar to help those who didn't have the means to give themselves a university education. That then morphed into the GATE program. And now they have also cut down the GATE program. Cut it down, cut. They closed the gate. Basically that's what they've done. They've closed the gate on our children. Denying opportunities. We built schools in rural communities right here on the Clark Road. 2 huge schools. The Shiva Balls and the other one there, the girls' school and the boys' schools. Ruth just says about vine growing, vermin infested, huge schools for children in these rural areas just left to rotten. My final words are these. We have always been resilient. This is not just about politics. It's about our collective future as people living together. United we can build a nation where everyone prospers. Remember we say, united we stand, divided we fall. Let us remember our national motto. Together we aspire, together we achieve. Together we aspire and together we achieve. And I say, united we are unstoppable. United is the difference. United we can build a better TNT. United we can make a difference. So let us harness unity. Let us harness this unity to transform our nation. Shoulder to shoulder. One big UNC family. Nothing will stop us. Nothing is going to stop us now. We will put in the work daily to earn your vote, to earn your support. And the next government, we will lead into victory. We will lead our country to progress. We will lead our country to prosperity. We will restore a sense of national pride and dignity in all of citizens. We can do this how? United. We are the United National Congress. United we stand, and we shall be victorious. So on the 17th of June, that first election is coming, the by-elections, and thereafter, the big one, the mother of all elections, the general election, will be upon us. Stay strong, remember, half of me belongs to you. The other half, I give to you. And you will get leaders before me. You will get leaders after me. But you will never, ever, ever get a leader who loves you as much as I do. I thank you, and may the good Lord continue to bless and keep you.
stand united in the belief that if you empower community, the community empowers the country.
We are the party that gave every child a secondary school education since 2001.
By building more schools in 11 years than others did in 40. We believe that no child,
rich or poor, should be left behind.
Which is why we give every 4-month student a laptop to expand their minds and their dreams.
We are the party that put police cars back on the streets
and gave the police a $1,000 bonus because we believe that we should support the persons who are protecting you.
We are the party that reduced the murder rate to its lowest in 14 years. We expanded GATE, stopped the property tax, and increased maternity leave.
We are the party that invested in you and your community by investing in schools, community centers, lighted parks, 24-hour health centers, and the most extensive road repair program in decades.
We believe that education is always a solution and that no one should have to pick between sending their child to school or buying food.
We are the party that works for you. We are the first responders in every situation, working to deliver a better standard of living for you and your family.
And most importantly, we have confidence in you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is not a campaign, it's a movement based on building communities and strengthening families.
Come out and join us, and together we will get the nation working and moving again. Our children will once again have access to GATE and technology.
We will improve healthcare
by cutting the time it takes to see a doctor in an emergency. We will establish a senior citizen unit in every major hospital and staff the hospital with the doctors and nurses you need to create a first-class healthcare system. We will focus on creating high-paying jobs, fixing our laws to remove red tape, and ensuring that you and your family are safer. We will reduce corporate taxes to jumpstart the economy, create a special investment zone along the East-West corridor, and work with entrepreneurs to build a digital economy. This is an investment in your community to move the nation forward and get TNT working again.
Whether you are from 4th Street in Barataria to Railway Road in Dow Village, from Green Street in Tunapuna to Clark Road in Dibay, from La Hoqueta to Moruga, from Mayaro to Scarborough, we are one people with the same dreams of a better tomorrow. And when we stand together, we win together. We are UNC and proud.
So who feel the black? Who feel the white? I don't know. But it's settled tomorrow night. Who feel the wrong? Who feel the right? Come and go. And all who feel the too bright. Let me jump up. Let me wind up. Party non-stop.
Trinidad and Tobago.
We come to play, man.